Today we are going to review how to configure tape as a backup target in NAKIVO Backup and Replication. This session is intended for engineers who already understand backup repositories, restore points, and backup copy concepts, but who may not have configured tape in NAKIVO before. The first thing to clarify is how NAKIVO uses tape. Tape is not normally used as the first landing zone for a production backup job. Instead, NAKIVO uses a disk-to-tape workflow. The source workload is first backed up to a backup repository, and then a backup copy job copies the existing backup from that repository to tape. This means tape is configured as a secondary backup copy target for archiving, long-term retention, offline storage, or air-gapped protection. Let's have a look at the architecture and purpose. From an architecture perspective, this design is important. The primary backup job can complete quickly against disk-based storage, and the tape copy can run later according to a separate schedule. This avoids making the production backup window depend directly on tape drive performance, tape availability, or media handling. Before we start the UI configuration, let's review the requirements. NAKIVO Backup and Replication supports robotic tape libraries, standalone tape drives, and virtual tape libraries. For physical tape, NAKIVO supports linear tape open libraries and standalone tape drives starting from Generation 3, which means LTO3 or later. Tape vendor is not relevant because NAKIVO works with tape devices through the operating system tape drivers, as long as the device is properly detected by the OS and accessible to the selected transporter. The tape device must be visible to the machine where the NAKIVO transporter is installed. The transporter is the component that performs the data movement and communicates with the tape device that actually reads from the source repository and writes to tape. However, the director provides the web interface and job orchestration. For physical tape libraries and standalone tape drives, install the vendor drivers before adding the device in NAKIVO. At the operating system level, confirm that the tape drive and, for robotic libraries, the media changer are detected. If the device is not visible to the operating system, NAKIVO will not be able to add it. For VTL, deploy a transporter and manually mount the VTL targets before adding the device in NAKIVO. Physical tape cartridges should have barcodes. For robotic tape libraries, barcodes are important because they allow the product to identify cartridges reliably and refresh the library efficiently. For standalone tape drives, barcodes are less critical because there is no robotic slot inventory to manage. Now let's see the steps of adding the tape device to NAKIVO Backup and Replication and look at the tape-related menus. Go to Settings, then open the Tape tab. This is the central area for all tape configuration and tape inventory management. At the top of the page, NAKIVO shows a summary bar. This summary includes issues, devices, tapes, and backups. This is useful during operations because it gives you a quick health overview of the tape subsystem. If there are device problems, failed scans, offline media, or tape-related alerts, this area helps you identify that tape needs attention before you start a job. Now let's configure a robotic tape library, or VTL. Click the plus sign and select Robotic Tape Library, or VTL. The Add New Robotic Tape Library or Virtual Tape Library wizard opens. On the first step, select the assigned transporter. Choose the transporter installed on the machine that is physically connected to the tape library, or the transporter that has access to the mounted VTL targets. If you are using a virtual tape library, the transporter should be in the same network path as the VTL target, and for cloud-based VTLs, it should usually run in the appropriate cloud instance or network segment. Click Next. On the Select Changers step, NAKIVO displays the media changers detected on the selected transporter. Select the changer that belongs to the tape library you want to add. Click Next. On the Select Drive step, select the tape drives inside the library. Review the vendor, model, address, path, serial number, and drive number. If the library has more than one drive, confirm that the drive numbering matches the actual hardware mapping. This can matter in ISC-SI-based configurations, where targets may be assigned incorrectly. If multiple drives are selected, they should use the same host or bus layout. Click Next. On the Options step, enter a clear name for the tape library. Use a name that describes the site, purpose, and device, for example, HQ-LTO-library-01, or dr-vtl-archive-01. Next, configure compression. NAKIVO offers software-based fast compression, hardware-based compression, software-based medium compression, and software-based best compression. The default is software-based fast compression. For many deployments, software-based compression is easier to control and troubleshoot. Hardware compression is not generally recommended because it can contribute to increased transfer size or long backup and recovery times, especially when the tape device and the source or target repository use different compression approaches. Now configure block size. Available values include 32 kilobytes, 64 kilobytes, 128 kilobytes, 256 kilobytes, 512 kilobytes, and 1 megabyte. The default is 64 kilobytes. Be careful with this setting. NAKIVO does not automatically detect block size when importing backups, so the block size used for writing should be documented. If a future recovery requires importing tapes into a new NAKIVO instance, the correct block size must be known. Next, select the device location. If the default location is not appropriate, click Add Location. Enter a location name such as Primary Data Center, Off-Site Vault, or DR Site. Add a description if needed, then save it. The device location applies to the device and the tapes inserted into that device. Next, select the default media pool. If you do not already have a media pool, click Add Media Pool. Enter a pool name such as Weekly Tape Archive, Monthly Tape Archive, or Yearly Compliance Retention. Select where offline tapes from this pool should be moved logically, and decide whether NAKIVO should automatically add free tapes to the pool when required. This automatic option is useful when you want the backup copy job to continue using available blank or free cartridges without manual assignment every time. Then, configure the default offline location. This defines where tapes are logically placed after they are ejected from this device. For example, if tapes are removed from the library and sent to an off-site vault, the default offline location can be set to that vault. Click Save. After the library is added, it appears in the Devices tab. Open the device details and verify that the status is healthy, the drives are present, and the cartridges are visible. Use Refresh if you need NAKIVO to update the library inventory. Refreshing can check barcodes and may move cartridges inside the library. If you are configuring a standalone tape drive, the workflow is similar but shorter. Go to Settings, open Tape, select Devices, click the plus sign, and select Standalone Tape Drive. Choose the transporter connected to the standalone drive, click Next, then configure the name, drive, compression, block size, device location, default media pool, and default offline location. Click Save and confirm that the drive appears in the Devices tab. After adding the tape library, let's go through the tabs available. The first main tab is Device. This is where we added and manage robotic tape libraries, virtual tape libraries, and standalone tape drives. We can select the added library to see the configuration setting. Also, we can create new location and media pool. The second main tab is Tapes. This is where you manage cartridge-level operations. Here, you can see the tape name, label, status, device, slot or drive location, last written date, overwritable date, media pool, location, contents, capacity, and tape type. Also, we change the filter by adding/removing items to /from the display. Click a tape cartridge name to open its management page. This page shows detailed tape information, the tape contents table, and available management actions. If a cartridge is newly inserted and its contents are unknown, use Scan. Scanning allows NAKIVO to determine whether the tape contains known NAKIVO backups, unknown NAKIVO backups from another instance, empty media, third-party data, incomplete backups, or unidentified content. If the tape contains backups created by another NAKIVO installation, scanning is required before those backups can be used for recovery. Use Edit to add or change a tape label, assign the tape to a media pool, or assign it to a location. Labels are useful for operations teams because they make cartridges easier to identify in the UI and in physical handling procedures. Use Move when you need to move a cartridge to an available slot or drive. This is relevant for robotic libraries. NAKIVO disables occupied destinations, which helps prevent conflicts. Use Protect when a tape contains recovery points that should not be overwritten. Protected tapes can still be used for recovery, but they are protected from overwrite operations until they are unprotected. Use Mark as Free when a tape should become eligible for future backup writing. This does not immediately erase the tape, but when NAKIVO needs the cartridge for writing, it can quick erase the tape before writing new data. Treat this action carefully because it makes existing data eligible for deletion. Use Mark as Cleaning for cleaning cartridges. NAKIVO does not automatically recognize cleaning tapes as cleaning media in all cases. A cleaning cartridge may initially appear as containing third-party data, so it is the administrator's responsibility to mark it as a cleaning tape. After that, the clean drive action can be used to initiate a cleaning cycle for a selected drive. Use retire when a cartridge should no longer be used for new backups. Recovery from retired tapes remains available, but NAKIVO will not use retired cartridges for new write operations. Use erase only when you intentionally want to remove tape contents. Quick erase marks data as deleted without physically deleting every block, while full erase deletes data permanently and can take a long time. In production, erase operations should require a documented approval process. Use remove only for offline tape cartridges that should be removed from NAKIVO's inventory. This action is useful when a tape is no longer managed by this deployment. The third main tab is Backups. This tab shows backups stored on tape cartridges. Engineers use it to search and filter tape backups, view recovery points, check encryption state, and start recovery from tape. This menu is needed because when the data is already on tape, you do not always want to start from the cartridge. Sometimes you want to search by backup name, job name, workload type, location, last recovery point, or encryption state. Now let's configure the actual backup copy to tape. Go to the main menu and open Data Protection. Click Create, then select Backup Copy Job. On the source step, select the backups you want to copy to tape. You can select backups by job and group, repository, and policy. Selecting by job is common because it allows the tape copy job to follow a specific production backup job. Selecting by repository can be useful when the tape archive should include all backups stored in a particular repository. Selecting by policy, set the condition and create a rule. Click Next. On the destination step, select tape as the target type, then choose the tape device or media pool. In most production designs, targeting a media pool is better than targeting a specific tape cartridge. The media pool gives NAKIVO a controlled set of cartridges to use and makes tape rotation easier. Click Next. On the Schedule step, define when the backup copy to tape should run. A common configuration is to run the tape copy after the primary backup job completes. Another common pattern is to run tape copies weekly or monthly, depending on the archive policy. Make sure the schedule does not overlap with heavy repository maintenance, production backup windows, or other tape jobs using the same drive. The NAKIVO working the retention setting. Retention determines how long the recovery points copied to tape should remain protected before they become eligible for overwrite. This should match the organization's archive policy. For example, weekly tapes may be kept for several weeks, monthly tapes for a year, and yearly tapes for several years. The overwritable date shown in the tapes view is calculated from the recovery point retention on the cartridge. On the Options step, review encryption, network acceleration, and performance-related settings. If the tape copy runs over a WAN or through a remote transporter path, evaluate network acceleration. If encryption is required, configure it according to the organization's security policy. Configure the tape appending. Append previous tape if possible, or start full backup with an empty tape, or always start with an empty tape. Finish the wizard and run the job. During the first run, monitor the job closely. Confirm that the source backups are read from the expected repository, the destination is the correct media pool or tape device, the proper cartridge is selected, and the tape status changes to writing. After the job completes, return to Settings, open Tape, and check the Backups tab. The backup should appear there with its recovery points. For validation, do not stop at a successful job status. Open the tape backup details and verify that the expected recovery points are listed. Then start a recovery workflow far enough to confirm that the backup can be selected and that NAKIVO can read the tape metadata. In a formal implementation, perform a controlled test recovery to a repository and then validate the restored workload or files. To summarize the implementation, configuring tape in NAKIVO has three main phases. First, prepare the infrastructure. Supported LTO3 or later hardware, standalone drive, robotic library, or VTL, correct drivers, correct transporter placement, and OS-level visibility. Second, configure the tape subsystem under Settings and Tape. Add the device, verify the drives and changer, define locations, define media pools, and scan or label cartridges. Third, create a backup copy job with tape as the destination, select the correct media pool, configure schedule and retention, run the job, and validate that the recovery points are visible and recoverable. The key takeaway is that tape in NAKIVO is managed as a native part of the product. but it depends heavily on correct underlying hardware visibility and disciplined media management. Once the tape device, cartridges, locations, and media pools are configured correctly, the operational workflow is straightforward. Backup to a repository first, copy the backup to tape, track the cartridges in the Tapes view, verify the backups in the Backups tab, and periodically test recovery. If you found this video helpful, click the like button and subscribe to our channel to catch new uploads. You can also visit the NAKIVO website to download a free trial version of NAKIVO Backup and Replication and try the solution in your own environment for 15 days.